Welcome to our weekly Q&A show where we answer submitted questions live on YouTube on Tuesdays at 2 p.m.
Well, happy Tuesday, and this is our weekly live show where I just answer questions. I get a lot of questions via email and text and Facebook message and direct message, all kinds of things, and I try to answer them when I can, but sometimes they pile up, and somebody in my office helps compile them, and we kind of cover them in the show. So there's a chance for me to answer questions that have been asked, but also if you have questions you're in the audience and just want to pile on, we can just keep going through questions. Pretty good question in this chat. I'd be happy to talk about it. Also, if you are a viewer though, and you are a boater and you can answer these questions, like join in and help, please. I'm gonna do my best to answer them, but I don't know nearly anything. So if you're in the audience and you can help, please do. It's a chance to give the best possible answer we can to those questions. So with that, let's get started. And I'm gonna try some new layouts today. Ooh, that's a cute one. Start with this one. And the first one is river conservation. What are the best river charities and conservation groups to donate to? And there's a lot. And I hate to single out a few because then there are others that are deserving may get upset or be unhappy. But I'm gonna tell you some of my favorites, even though it might leave some people out. The first one is a no-brainer, just American Whitewater. American Whitewater is well run, it's efficient, they use the money they have really well, and they get things done. They get things done. That's pretty much it. And so if you're a boater, at least be a member. It's like $35 a year. They don't necessarily need your money, although the money helps, but they need membership. They need to go to Congress and say we represent 2,000 boaters in Oregon, 20,000 boaters nationwide, whatever the number is. Them representing you is important. So becoming a member for $35 is a good use of money. And then if you just want to donate money, it's a great place to send money to and make a donation. So I highly recommend American Whitewater personally as a baseline. Some other ones that I really like, and they run the gamut. Western Rivers Conservancy is based in Portland, and they buy land to conserve it. So it's not like advocating for river protection. They just buy the land, and they do really cool projects, and they use the money really well. That's a good one. Again, Western Rivers Conservancy. I really like KS Wild in Southern Oregon because I spend a lot of time in the Kalmiopsis, on the Rogue, on the Illinois. When I say in the Kalmiopsis, I mean the Kalmiopsis Wilderness, which includes the Chetco, North Fork Smith, and Illinois. But also they work on issues in the Rogue. They just had a big win with the natural gas pipeline. So kswild.org is the website. They're great. And I have a nonprofit that I started, Kalmiopsis Guides Association. And you can just Google them. And, what we do is we just collect money from donations and use that money to either send guides to Congress, which we've done. We've sent guides to DC in the past. We're not now because of COVID, but we will in the future. But also just work on things that raise awareness about the Kalmiopsis Wilderness. So it's very specific to a place. And that's a lot of it is related to the Chetco and the Illinois rivers. And so I'm going to share this other page really quick. I shared this on the live show Friday, but I'll just share it one more time. It's a blog post that we did about river conservation groups to support. And so it's on the Northwest Rafting Company website. I'll make it bigger here. How do I do this? Like that. And so if you want to see more information, there's American Whitewater, KS Wild, Native Fish Society's one. For those of you that love fish, Kalmiopsis Audubon Society is great. Rogue River Keepers, part of KS Wild. And of course, Kalmiopsis Guides Association. So I'll put this link in the chat down here. You want to click that link. I don't have experience with American Rivers Conservancy. I know a tiny bit about them. That if you live on the American River, conservancies usually buy the land and then put protections on it and then potentially sell it. So if a lot of times a timber company might be selling a bunch of land, they'll buy it, they'll put restrictions on it, like easements, and say you can never build a house here, you can never develop this, and they'll sell it to the county or to the Forest Service or somewhere else because they don't want to. The conservancies, sometimes they want to own the land long term, but sometimes they just want to get it protected and pass it on. And so I think that this one buys land along the American River. If that's where you boat, that's maybe a good one. Yeah. And so again, like I support ones where I boat locally. Even though I live in Hood River, the place I've had the most passion for is the Kalmiopsis and the surrounding area. And so I like to support ones based on that. So those are the ones I'll promote. But yeah, hit that link, and there's a few that I like. American Rivers is a nationwide organization to support. In Idaho, Idaho, I should know this. I'll tip my tongue. Idaho Rivers United is great. They're a great organization. In Oregon, maybe consider supporting the Oregon Whitewater Association if you want to support boating and boating education and safety in Oregon, not necessarily river conservation. So anyway, those are just some thoughts. Again, with the American Whitewater, you can't get wrong. Every place I have done any conservation work, American Whitewater has been engaged and critical to that work. So anyway, that's that. Next one is choosing an outfitter. So I'm going to do my best to answer this one. How do I got to share. Sorry, everyone. I'm running this by myself today, so it might be a little slow. This next question is how to choose an outfitter. And that, for those of you who don't know, that's my job. I own a rafting company. I'm a river outfitter. And so I'm going to be biased probably with this, maybe. But I mean, I think he's specifically asking about an outfitter in Costa Rica and how to choose an outfitter. And unfortunately, I don't have a really good answer. Maybe look at TripAdvisor and see what people are saying. TripAdvisor is a good review site, or other review sites. I think if you're traveling internationally, finding somebody who's pretty responsible is key, and that probably means the highest price. I mean, honestly, there's a pretty direct correlation if you look at outfitters, even in the U.S. or just everywhere. Generally, the more expensive they are, the higher quality they are. Now, it's not a perfect correlation, but if you try to skip money to save money on your trip, they're probably skimping money too in terms of like training, guide pay, things like that. So I think guide wages is one. I know in Costa Rica that Rios Tropicalis is known as a really good organization historically. So I feel like you maybe can't go wrong with them. But in terms of choosing an outfitter, I think right now, in terms of finding a good one, I think three things. I thought of one more. One is TripAdvisor, look for reviews. 2 is cost. And 3 is just look at their website. A website is also a pretty good, that's my phone, a pretty indicator of the company. If they have a classy website that's well done and easy to navigate, they're probably a classy organization that does trips well and makes the process easy for you. If it's an old clunky website, or there's weird buttons for booking, or it takes you to some third-party site to do something weird, you might want to second guess. Yeah, La Fortuna with Costa Rica. I worked with flow trips out of La Fortuna, top notch. Yeah, is La Fortuna? The La Fortuna is the place by Arenal, right? Like the volcano. Yeah, and Rios Tropicalis, yeah, they do franchises. Like Rios Tropicalis doesn't own all of the sites and manage them. They just basically franchise the name and the brand off and probably set standards for those guides. I know there was a river, I think it's out of La Fortuna, that was really cool, the Peñas Blancas, but I heard it got dammed. I don't know if you know much about that, Jeremy, but I don't know what other rivers there are out of La Fortuna. But if I remember right, yeah, that's by Arenal, and it's really cool there. But the river that I did when I was there, the Peñas Blancas, somebody told me just the other day that it got dammed. Cool. Thanks for your help, Jeremy. If you have any suggestions for companies, is the name Rios Tropicalis in La Fortuna, or is it a different name? Just curious. So anyway, hopefully that helps with choosing an outfitter. And then the last question is, I want to do a private trip on the Chetco. How do I get a permit? I think just call the Forest Service. It's not like rivers like the Chetco. You don't have to apply ahead of time in a lottery. Like there's not too much demand for the resource. So like on the Middle Fork of the Salmon, or the Rogue, or the Green in Utah, or the Grand Canyon, there's more people that want to do it than that place can handle. So they have to like have limited entry. They have to do a lottery in advance. But there's tons of rivers out there where there's not too much demand. Tons. Like the Illinois is an example. Illinois is my favorite trip personally. And it's not overused. And so there doesn't need to be a lottery system in place. So to get that permit, you just go to the Selma market and fill out a form and put it in the thing, and that's your permit. You don't have to get one issued by a person. It's just self-issue. On the Chetco, I believe I've only done commercial trips out there. I did one private trip. I can't remember what we did. You probably need some sort of wilderness permit to go to spend time in the Kamloops wilderness. And also that gives the Forest Service an opportunity to tell you what the rules are. Like if you just showed up and did a trip on the Chetco, you could break a lot of rules. Like you might have more than 8 people because the minimum group size in the Kamloops is 8. You might have a fire when you're not supposed to, or follow some wrong policy. So a permit may be a chance for them just to like know you're there in case there's an emergency, but also pass on the rules and make you sign a piece of paper saying I agree to these rules that are in the management plan for that wilderness. So they're called flow trips. What does that mean? Flow trips. Oh, the company's flow trips. Cool. In all. So on the Chetco, again, you don't need to get a permit like through a lottery like most rivers, but you do need to get some sort of permit to enter the wilderness. And so you can just call the Forest Service district in that area and tell them what you want to do, and they'll explain what the permit system is. So, well, that's all the questions I have for today. Unless anybody in the audience has anything to add, I think we'll shut this week down. Again, this is a live show I try to do every Tuesday just to answer any questions I receive in that week. It's not like our Friday show that can go 2 hours sometimes. This is just a quick thing. So if you do have questions, send them. I don't know, where would you send them? Email info@nwrafting.com. That sounds like a good place, and my office will get it, and they'll organize a little thing like this, and we'll try to do this Tuesday Q&A, like I said, every Tuesday at 2:00. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you next week.